Hi, Patrick Journal at ptlarts.com. I'm an artist. I paint portraits, I paint landscapes, seascapes, do watercolours. I've also got like a free course, painting course, um, which is always developing and changing. Um, so please have a look at my site. There's a possibility of joining. If you just join my email list, then you can do the site. It's got a full module course that takes you through from a blank canvas to having a painting if you're interested. And also there's an email sign up for the shop if you like the work. Then like over a period as I produce more and more work, there'd be like coupons and stuff coming out that will give you the opportunity to buy my stuff if you like it, for reduced rates and stuff. That's all very possible if you join my email list. And I can let you know about exhibitions, etc., etc. And I'm getting to know an increasing number of people with lots of interest in artists. So if you're like interested, you're an artist that wants to like put your stuff up, be on business. I'm doing like I've got this YouTube channel. This is what I'm talking about, art, a business. That will be evolving into sort of more intense, more in-depth, should I say, not intense, in-depth courses. And it's like all really relevant and now stuff because I'm developing my own business along the way too. So it's really important these days to be really on the button what's happening now because very quickly things change. Already in the year that I've been sort of learning, I realised that things have just changed already, changing really, really fast. So what was working like a year ago is beginning to wear thin. So there you go. So one of the, I've talked about reveal, connect and inspire. Another aspect, which isn't one of my main themes, but is like connected with all of them, is about wellness, well-care, well-being, health, art and health, doing creative things and your health. So I just want to share my story a bit and so why I feel that I'm qualified, partly qualified to talk about this. So I'm not just talking about it, I'm talking about it from my own experience. So strangely, the advantages of making art, and in my case, painting, has obviously improved my wellness. Although I didn't see it for quite a long time, I haven't really understood it in that way. And that's part of what begins to change and transform. As I'll come clear as I explain more. The reality is that I've been pushing myself to exist in the economic growth environment and be one of the box-ticking members of society for a number of years. So in my youth, I was very much like into not agreeing with any of it. I wasn't radical, but I certainly was not convinced, put it that way. I wasn't convinced by the way that society seems to work. And then I found myself like having a family and thought, well, I better get a proper job now. So I got a proper job and I was there for a long time. So I became I got, a mortgage. I did all the things that you're meant to do. Family, I'm a dad, I've got 3 kids, etc. So during this time and on reflection, I had many struggles. Many of these have been beneficial to my development, to aspects of my character, but not necessarily to my general health. This became manifest as a heart attack that happened 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I had a heart attack. This was the final call to action. But over the years, I've had a number of events that have occurred that most cognizant beings would have recognized as a loud call. My programming was that, and still is to a degree, I have to admit, was that what some might describe a Protestant work ethic. So by that I mean, no matter what, go to work. Also, as a manager, like for 15 years or so as a manager, and looking after a number of people that had to turn up to work, and if they didn't, I quite often ended up doing their work for them. It was even more compounded, and I, not only that, I compounded this understanding in myself by the way that I behaved towards people that didn't turn up for work for whatever reason. So it's kind of, I made it worse for myself. Others may discuss them, as opposed to a Protestant work ethic, as a clear case of denial, health-wise. So 10 years before the heart failure, I had a breakdown. I was sitting staring at my computer in an office, frozen and pale. A work colleague came into my room, took one look at me and suggested I went home. I got in my car and burst into uncontrollable floods of tears. I hadn't really slept properly for many years, and my body was not producing the necessary chemicals to help me do this. I was off work for quite a few months and decided that I should quit my job and do something different. So during that time, I went to sort of various seminars, being that this was really a long time. I mean, there was stuff online, but nothing like there is now. And so I went to a few, and I felt like deeply excited at the thought of doing something new, and also possibly using some of the skills and talents, which I still am beginning to recognize, in other arenas that would be more flexible and also suit my creative tendencies. So I was quite clear, even all the way back there, that I needed to do something much more creative than what I was doing, which basically I was a taskmaster. So, I'd had somebody above me who said, you've got to make that budget work. I'd make it work, and then they would change it and say, no, you've got to make this work. And I had to sort of like organize the people below me to fit into that budget, even if I didn't fundamentally agree with it. And I didn't fundamentally agree with it. So, uncontrollable fears. I hadn't really slept for many years. I was off work for ages, tried to do something different, but having the 3 children that at that time were 6, 8, and 10 years old. Then so I went back to work on a part-time basis, thinking, oh, well, I still can continue exploring all of this because it's quite exciting. It's what I want to do. But however, so I still had this determination to change. Quite quickly, part of my consciousness decided that the job wasn't that bad. And after all, it's probably my fault that I got myself in such a state, because I didn't talk to anybody about it. And I just needed to modify the way that I did my work. So that was how I justified the whole thing. I went back full time with the decision that I would definitely not work extra time and overtime. Definitely not. That goal had a huge hole in the net. Before long, I had a job that had twice as much responsibility as one before I got in that trouble. So, clock forward 7 years, and I had a seizure. Long story short, because it is quite a long story, I don't want to bore you with. Long story short, there was nothing diagnosed. I kept having minor episodes, but this denial response continued. So I'd feel like I was going to have another seizure, basically. But then I would get over it and just move on. I was fed up because like I never got a diagnosis. I just got pushed from pillar to post. And just thought, well, it's probably, but I made loads of justifications. It's probably because of this, it's probably because of that, it's probably because of blah, blah, it's probably because of that. And then deny that I had any problems, basically. Fortunately for me, in 2013, like I said, I had a heart attack, my heart failure and stopped working. Even then, my work tried to get me back for a year. They said, oh, well, you've had, like I had surgery, which ostensibly has worked because I've got a stent in. They got a diagnosis from the specialist to say that it worked. So they couldn't see any reason why I shouldn't go back to work. And even then, I even was so close to going back to work, not just once, but on many occasions. I thought, well, you know, it's okay, isn't it? Of course, it wasn't. At the same time, I started to draw and then paint. Amazingly, I started to sell my paintings. A light went on. And I could see that if I applied myself at some point, I could have a great life based on my artwork. I set up a small business, and to my credit, for the first 2 years, I saw a small profit and no impact on the home, you know, domestic costs. And I thought, well, this is quite an achievement. So I could see I was going somewhere. I didn't go back to my job. And so last year, I thought it'd be really cool to get online with my story and see what happens. I didn't really think about helping anyone else. I hadn't got that far. Well, I'd sort of been painting for such a short period of time, it didn't occur to me that I could show people how to paint. And I haven't been able to see the link between my health improving, me breaking these habitual ways of response, partly through like the action of doing the stuff that I really should be doing, which is what I'm doing now. So breaking those, in fact, it's like part of the human tendency is like, you know, wanting to take the easiest route. It's easier for me to go back to work. I could have played the card really well that, oh no, I can't do that. I don't feel well. I need some time off, etc. I could have done all of that for years. Not that I would have done, because I would have just gone back and ended up doing the same as I was doing before. Got into more trouble and not dealt with the health problems that I really had, because like the way that health is treated, really, especially for me, what I've discovered since is they give you a load of pills, basically, to everybody, whether it fits or doesn't fit. And I can understand the logic behind it, you know, and I certainly don't feel resentful about it, because I've my life saved effectively through fantastic technology that put this tiny little thing in my arteries. So anyway, there we go. Last year I thought it'd be cool to go online. Now here we are, I've got ptlarts.com. I've started this YouTube sharing my story in a bit more detail than I've done before. Through this process, I'm beginning to feel that not only can I help people paint, but I may also have the tools and personality to help people get their creative endeavors up and running. At the same time, I hope to introduce people to the possibility of changing this wiring, preferably at a quicker rate than it's taken me. So rather than going through all of these, you know, I could have had like heart failure that caused me extreme physical disability, but I've been really, really fortunate, and I feel that I need to give something back. And this is really recent that even that penny's dropped. that actually I feel deep gratitude to be able to sit here and talk to you and share my story and show you my paintings. If nothing else happens, I feel deep gratitude to be able to do that. So thank you very much. If you're interested and like what I'm talking about, put a thumbs up on the YouTube. If you think I talk a load of twaddle, give me a thumbs down, absolutely fine. A bit of explanation in the comments is fine. I can take it. But also, if you're that interested, want to have a conversation about it, etc., I'll do my best to, and also, have a look at my site, join my email list, give me feedback, any sort of feedback, so I can develop this for the sake of others. Thank you.